Good morning, everyone. This is Frank Castillo, your host of the next program for Frankly Speaking, along with our co-host.
Memo Castro, good morning.
Good morning to everybody. Today is Tuesday, January 13th. Finally got my dates right. I had trouble the other day trying to figure out where we were at. And to make matters worse, we skipped 1 week only because of the holidays. That's the only reason I couldn't make it. I mean,
It was Christmas, New Year.
New Year.
Yeah.
Fireworks.
What a year.
What a year. There's not enough stories to cover in less than an hour. And sometimes I try not to speak too much, but when it happens, it's really because the issues drive us. We promise ourselves that we'll be open, that we like dialogue, that we like discussion. We accept the different points of view. Doesn't mean that we all agree in things. We probably might disagree on some things, but I think that's what makes the program interesting to those who watch us and listen to us. But you can go everywhere from the federal level, what's happening in Venezuela, what's happening in Minneapolis, all the way to the state and our governor and what's going on with elections right now and who is deciding what. Then you go next to the congressional and continues to be a question about who's running, why they're running, and what happens to a full pardon that you get and how do you apply for it, down to county government and their issues with buying property. Property level, again, it's a topic and issues that haven't been resolved and the ongoings of that, and then also with the city and the deal that was made in La Bota and things like that. I mean, it's just so many things.
No, there's a lot of things there, but to relate back to on the La Bota, I think the history of the land, the development, and it goes back to the origination. And I know that Vanessa Perez took a lot of heat, but a lot of people have a misconception of the whole idea. It wasn't her decision alone. It was a decision made on facts, on correcting an injustice that has been done. And if we're going to be blaming people, in my opinion, the school district, the developer, the school district, the original developer, the school district, I guess the city, all had a part in it. You have to look at the history and study the facts. And the facts were there was a great injustice done. Safety issues for all concerned, our children and also the residents. Now, yes, landowners have a right to do what they want for their property. The other question is that homeowners that invest on a broken dream, what I say, was that they have a right to protect their property. So as the district has a right to protect the investment and the safety of our children. That's something that we have to agree upon. The idea is this: laws are changed, and you have to based on facts, not on innuendos or whatever. Ms. Perez did something that she corrected an injustice. Damn it if you do, damn it if you don't. And that is what she was elected. Her people asked her to do it, constituents. And that's what you get for it. She's not a person that is a do-nothing. We may not agree with her in a lot of things, but guess what? Justice has been served. And when you correct I guess, a wrongdoing, nobody likes to accept change, but sometimes that's the road you have to take. And that's the mark of a leader. And that's my point on that one. Mm-hmm. Moving on, there's other issues that are facing right now the school district. The topic of foreclosing schools because of enrollment going down, that's no control there. But all of this is brought upon because the lack of trust, the lack, you don't like the word of transparency, but of good government. Good government.
That's right.
That is
clean and good government.
And that's what it's all about. We hold our public officials to the highest. It should be. There's three things that we would always talk about: integrity, trust and
Yeah.
honesty.
Yes, absolutely. And I was commenting earlier in the day with Memo about the fact that I really don't I distrust the word transparency because I think it's overused word, and most of the time we don't know exactly what is to be seen. So open and clean government really distinguishes itself by saying, here's the information. And so what's happened with the case of La Bota that also resonated with some of our viewers was the fact that some policies and procedures that should have been followed in the charter were, I wouldn't say violated, but were not followed. And so because of that, it kind of became a story. And I think whatever reason,
Very misleading though.
well, it became a story, and that's why we're here, because I don't know if we would have known anything about what had happened.
It's a better way, better words, you know, it's a deception, really. Really what it comes down to is deception. And the deception started at the beginning, you know. You know, the ordinance of not having warehouses or how do you call it, trailer traffic, commercial traffic within 1,000 feet or 500 feet from a school is a very good policy. You were representing the new United High School, and there's an issue there for the property across the street from UISD. They want to go commercial. Commercial in what way? Are they going to put warehouses there? Are we going to endanger our people? I speak from facts. Years ago, when Mines Road was designated, it was agricultural. And then they decided to build warehouses. And then when they bought it, we had chemical spills. We had several chemical spills. You know, Laredo is the #1 inland port. And in our district, we have that. You don't know the dangerous goods that come in and go out. You know, we could have a chemical spill, and we've been fortunate that we are on top of it, but one mishap and we could have deadly
I think
consequences.
What I recall about, still in the school board, the discussion of what is transferred in our roads and our highways and city streets, that was important because we did see the development going up on International Boulevard all the way to United High School, United Ninth Grade Campus. So if you go up there, most of it is residential. What I remember proposing was the fact that we just wanted to make sure that whatever traverse those streets was not going to be commercial heavy duty truck, and that's in place.
Yeah.
That's in place.
That was the ordinance she introduced.
Well, that was the ordinance that I gave her.
Well, that was something that you. Yeah.
Well, she followed it suit. I won't take credit for it.
Yeah.
She did it, but I'm saying that it came
That was
because
one of your concerns.
the concern was, hey, what are we doing over here to protect not only the students, school district, but the families, right? I always equate students with families. What am I doing to protect the best I can without infringing as a school district on the duties and the rights of the city? Okay, that it's a whole different thing. I don't control the traffic itself. I can just suggest, hey, city, make sure you don't have this there in this street.
See, that is the problem.
It's like her, with all due respect. What I don't like is for her to use the idea that I'm doing this for the children. No, we have a school board member who's looking out for the interest of the children. Well, unfortunately, like I said, it remains to be seen. I don't know if anybody ever reached out to her. I know that there was some kind of discussion among them. Well, the thing is that when you talk to me, I was not the school board member for that area. Yes, I bring it up, and I have to allow that other person to really do it. And I think what she was trying to do was purchase the property adjacent to it,
that was not going to be the answer.
And that was gonna be some of the things, right? The answer was in vehicular traffic, and we don't regulate. The district doesn't regulate vehicular traffic, and unfortunately.
But let me ask you there. That's where I differ from you because UISD, all their schools, if you look at it, they were all built in the center of the subdivision. Now, under the TEA, we have a letter that they didn't want the school to be built there. where it was right adjacent to the heavy commercial traffic. And we circulated that letter. But yet the school board decided to go, not you, but the
It
school
happened
board,
before my time.
before your time.
Yeah.
They decided to build that school in that time. And so it went against all of that. Now, you mentioned it. The district does not regulate traffic or operate roads.
Yeah.
So yet that school was built in a private road. How did that happen?
That's completely far-fetched to me. I don't understand it either.
Well, I know,
you
but
know,
I'm not really the
well, you know more than I do. Well, the fact is, it was built. I don't know if it is now actually the wrong thing to have done, because I know the residents of La Bota utilized that school quite. They used it. They can't say that. I didn't send my kid.
That was the reason why it was built.
It was built. And we know the owners and we know the people. And the residents never said, don't build it here. I don't want to take my kid there. Well, they partake of that service that they're having the school right in their own front yard. The other thing is that it actually has grown now through Green Ranch and some of the other areas that they use it.
The growth.
I mean,
the growth is there. I mean,
the growth is there residential.
Eventually.
But now it's mixed in with that vehicular traffic that I don't think the city can now say, you know what, no, don't build any more warehouses anymore. And that's completely foreign.
That's where the planning and zoning comes in. You see, you mentioned something that landowners have a right to their property. That is true. But also homeowners have a right to protect their properties. And it all goes back to where I've been saying since I started this battle with them, deceptive. The word deceptive.
Yeah, exactly.
I offer you something, and then if I intended to give you this, but I couldn't do it. So you were deceiving. The developer deceived the district because what protections that they did there? Where did the planning and zoning come in once that they had a school there? Why didn't they stand up and say, let's build something that should automatically change the code or the zoning? I mean, let's face it, we bought there because it was supposed to be something that they beautified and we didn't get it. Why? Because we're sorry now we didn't do it because something went wrong, but we had the intent. Attorneys love that word, intent. We intended to do it, but guess what? We just couldn't do it.
That's a developer language. I'll be honest with you. I think when I bought 2 homes in my lifetime here in Laredo, and they're gonna build a school right over there, and the park is gonna be right there, and sure, you're all wound up purchasing a new home. You're there thinking, damn, I'm gonna help my family. We're gonna get a school. We're gonna get this, and
we're gonna get a golf course. We're gonna get this clubhouse, and we didn't get anything.
The world is full of good intentions.
Oh yeah, good intentions. But the bottom line is this is what happens when people are deceived. They cry out and they say, "I want justice," But then who's at fault? Are you going to put it on the buyer beware because you should have checked it out? There's got to be some type of protection, and there is protection.
But there is lawful protection, things like that. I grant you that. I have no qualms about people doing things the right way legally. But yes, it boils down to a question of sometimes what did you know and when did you know it. And the thing is, what's being read, what's being heard out, was the fact that some policies in the charter were not followed. That's what I'm saying. And we continue with that discussion because I think it's resonating out in the community. And that's why some people look back, maybe more unjustly that they should, but they do because they're being questioned and. Dishonesty is a better word sometimes. I know that I don't like to use the word corruption. It's too general. The fact is that can somebody actually tell me the truth about what's being said and done? And eventually the policies that we have, the charter and the city of Laredo was developed way before our time, I think. I think, maybe the city manager form of government was when we were still active, or we've all been active for a while. But it changed from a mayor, strong mayor, to city manager, and so this government, most of the people there at the council don't remember the people who went through a lot to get a strong city manager form of government.
The bottom line is that we have the wrong type of government, in my opinion. Why? Because city manager can't do anything without getting the majority of these voters. Instead of having one strong, mayor. The mayor's administration has to work. The mayor has to have the power to put his policies through, and it's voted on by the council. Now you have, 8 councilmen? And if they all decide, I want to do, this is what we have right now. You want to talk corruption, or you want to look at questionable items? Okay. Let's talk about the $12 million that the Plaza Theater is renovation. It's been 3 or 4 years and nothing has been done. Let's talk about Mercy Hospital. Mercy Hospital is an eyesore, and those council people haven't done anything. What have they done? Nothing. And from what I heard, I don't know how true it is, the developer owes the owner owes about $69 million in back taxes. So when we're talking about $6 million buying a property, it wasn't corruption. It was just they swapped the land, and I have questions on how they got the land, what they paid for, and then how they got it. There's big questions there.
The current charter says we should have a strong city manager form of government,
But we don't.
not a strong city council or a strong mayor. But I noticed that in the last few years, maybe in the last decade, I've seen a movement to giving the mayor more power.
We should.
And I'm not going to agree with you. No, I'm not going to agree with you, because we got that before, back when you and I were out there questioning why our city streets weren't being paved, because we had a strong mayor who controlled literally the county also. And so that type of government, in my opinion, was not going to be conducive to what we have, which is a strong city manager, a good administrative staff, a bureaucracy that is in fact just, who does things based on the book and the charter, but it was never meant to be a strong city council or a strong mayor. And so maybe that's what the city charter needs to look at again and consider. Why not? Go revisit it. And
Well,
so
it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. But how many city managers that we have gone through? And you know what? They all leave with a golden parachute. All of them.
I understand that you say this, and no one's disagreeing with you, but how do we make it work, man? Well, this is the thing. How do we make it work? Fine, and this is something that I always brought back to the school district, and I think you and I had our discussions, and sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. If you expect a board member to be talking 80 hours or 40 hours, and just chat, and not accomplish anything, and actually not say anything, but just to appease you, that he or she likes to put a show. I am not like that.
No.
I rather just listen, because the rules of the game, the rules of the state that imposing on board members to stop and listen. It doesn't say, go ahead and talk. Go ahead and give us your political view. Because the more you see a board member talk, the more you should believe that they're probably not credible, because they're defending or protecting something of interest to them. And what I wanted to say is exactly that, Mr. Memo. That is not the way to operate city council either. And so what's brought out right now is some toxicity, some negativity. I'm not saying that only one person's to blame. I'm saying the city council's to blame. But they allowed something, and they voted in favor of this. And that to me is something that, if I were a future investor, or I wanted to say, hey, Laredo, they'll change their mind very quickly, or they'll do something.
Honestly, that is the stigma that they have right now, because if you look at the valley, they have outgrown us. You look at Eagle Pass, they're on the road. Why? Because
maybe we're not hearing the negative stuff too. No, let's be honest. I don't know. I'm not going to give them credit for anything. Honestly, I don't. I think it's a business relationship, and we should allow businesses to flourish. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. And that's why when the city council goes to try to say, no, minimize this, that can have a negative effect. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it could have a negative perception of people, that's all.
The problem lies is that they allow certain people to really run the city. And if you look at it, it all falls on them.
And it isn't you and me, right?
No, hell no. We're just the ones, the naysayers over here. But, you know, the bottom is that...
Well, maybe through our messages and our voices, we can actually have something done the way it should be done. Because I do believe in the rule of law. I do believe in the charter. I do believe in the Constitution. I believe in all of those things. And I believe that people have a right to their property, period. The thing is how to make sure that everybody believes that. That's the hard job, right? It's a hard job.
I believe in everything that you say, but when you say, when somebody has property for investment purposes, and they put a project out there, the city or whoever plans were made, they were never really enforced, you know. Here we have cities, we have ordinances, but we don't enforce them, you know. I've been to several neighborhoods that, especially where I used to live, they have businesses operating out of a house. And the old mentality was, hombre, voy a vender platos, or was there a mechanic shop in my lot? Who's going to tell me what? You know, the idea is that we've gone that. That's why the Planning and Zoning Department was created. It was to protect your investment. You know, I mean, I have a beautiful home, but the next door neighbor of mine has a trailer home, or he opens up a bar. You see, that mentality era de los barrios, you know, and you know what? The barrios were okay because people with common goals to survive. Now we have people that elevated themselves, and you had neighborhoods, you know. The first planned neighborhood, if I can recall, was Del Mar and Belmont Plaza, you know, back then, because they were the first planned subdivisions. And then, of course, everything flourished on from other things, you know. But what I'm trying to say is that people do those things because they invest in their homes. And it's not right for somebody to say, well, you know what, I'm going to open up a shop here, a beauty shop. Who cares? It's the traffic that comes in here. You know, the mentality is that you want to protect your investment. So homeowners have right, property owners have right, but you know, there's got to be a common goal to protect that. You know, you what happens here, you kill the integrity of the intent of this whole operation, because all of a sudden it becomes self-interest.
Well, I do trust our governments, and with all due respect, even though it doesn't work as well as I want it to work, probably doesn't work as well as you want it to, but I do stress, I think people who are employees of government are genuinely interested in doing the right thing. And so when I hear and I see that, you know, recommendations were made a certain way, I'm gonna respect that. I really am. I will not say, well, I have a doubt. I have questions. Why are you doing it? I don't know if that's really the thing that we should be doing, Memo. But again, everybody has a right to their view. I don't agree. You know, let's say the school board. Let's say the school district. I trust the employees of UISD. I trust them all.
It's not the employees; it's the leadership.
That's different. I'm not saying that. That's different. It's the leadership. Yes, I can tell right now that there's leadership sometimes who. I want my representative to represent me, just like yours represented you, that you say that she did. I'm fine, that's cool. But you know, at the end of the day, even me representing my district, I want to make sure, you know, I want to make sure I reflect what the district wants. But I'm also remembered, and I have to recall, I'm a board member for the whole district, that what I do here impacts the rest of us. It doesn't impact only mine. And I'd be really sounding like a sounding board here, but no, you represent the district. You don't just represent your district. And so that to me is important.
It's like when we reached out to you on our fight. It wasn't your district, but you said something that hit me, is that I represent part of your district, because some of those kids go to my school.
Exactly.
And so you took the effort
to listen.
And give us the time we needed to address the school board. And so you stood up for that. You stood up for other things also that I recall. That contract.
Exactly.
Okay. You said it was unright. It was unjust. You know? And you stood up there Other ones say, why not? We're gonna
Then
say
now
no.
it's been investigated left and right, right?
Yeah. But the idea is this, it takes one individual to stand up.
Of course.
And everybody will thank you. Maybe, the problem is that the old mentality is that, hombre, al resto the people will forget. That's the mentality of Laredo, is that there's something out there. Instead of correcting it and addressing it, we forget. And that's why we are in the position we're in. If anything comes out of this program is we cannot set policies. We can only try to open up our point of view, whether we agree or don't agree. But the idea is that for the young generation, to not sit down as a spectator, get involved. If anything, good government is individuals standing up and getting
I
involved.
used to remember quite a bit when I would talk to my family and friends about what things need to be done, how they should be done, and what you do have a responsibility for and not. And I always used to say, but you know what? You need to extend yourself out of the education realm, for example. Don't think education provides you all the solutions.
Yeah.
You need to look at the arts and sciences around, in the psychology, in the economics. And, if you have that understanding, you realize that all of them come together through you, through oneself.
Yeah.
You have to internalize it to actually practice it. And so it comes naturally. You don't have to think about it. It's like football season's underway, right? And players are out there and they practice, and you wonder, why do they practice the same play? Why do cops practice the same thing, a takedown, an arrest? Because it has to come naturally without thinking about it, because it could save your life one day. You have to do it repeatedly. Well, you have experience as a jailer. You know that repetitive, sometimes just, you don't have to think about it, you just react. You train yourself. And so many times, even our education, and I'm referring now to our educators, you really have to understand everything that's going on, and I used to say this, don't listen to the school board, listen to what you're there for, why you're there being directed, do the things that needs to be done to educate our kids, because we're trusting you with our children. So yes, I hold a high premium in the things that you said and that you were saying back at the school board. And I think, can I say that everybody shared my thoughts? I don't know, but I know I shared some. I said, what if I was a parent? What if I'm a grandparent now, like you are, and we realize, hey, we need to do something to make sure our education is intact, that we're teaching them a full range of education courses, not just one or two, or those that are politically inclined. That's where I draw the line. I said, no. You're not going to educate my children on religion, for example. No, that's not part of the part here that I don't agree with. But anyway, Memo, it's been an interesting topic for the city.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's going to get even worse. I mean, the bottom line is that people have to understand the facts behind everything, The reason why it was done because people were asking for some type of direction, understanding, and the lady stood up and did that, and she gets criticized if you don't do nothing. We have council people that they're just there by name and they don't do anything. I want you to point down, if they could write down a ledger and say, what have you done while you took office? One thing that you have done. Now this lady has addressed the traffic. There was 4 councilmen before her that never did it. She did it. She took care of improving the park that we never had, I mean, she brought in bathrooms, We didn't have bathrooms, but she did that. So in her first term. She corrected the things that she promised and she kept them. Now, she's a doer. She's gone to the state capitol. I personally went with her, and she introduced HOA reform bill. It fell short, but guess what? She's been more political motivated to do things for the right reasons. Now, far apart, she's done all of that, maybe because of her education, being a teacher. I mean, she has a plan, and that plan was to move our district forward, and she has done it. and the other people went along with it. So call her a politician or whatever, but she had
The city, you mean?
Yeah,
As
the
you said,
city.
the district.
Yeah, the district, yeah.
And I think that's what happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to believe that firmly, you know.
Mhm.
I am not about to go tell as a sitting school board member what to do at the city. Really, all I can do is recommend. All I can do is through our process as a school district to let them know this is my concern. We're concerned with the traffic in this area. And other than that, I think that she should also
Yeah.
stick to her lane
Yeah.
and say, yes, I'm doing it for La Bota. That's fine. Just be clear, because when it says, well, it's for the whole city, well, no, I don't think so, because somebody's getting hurt here. And that's what that's not what people are
When you
saying.
say you're doing the city, the reason that land became available is because it addresses something that the school failed. And the school district failed is that proper traffic, because they built the school on a private road to begin with, okay? Second, they made some thing between them and whatever, and it didn't pan out. So now, to address the safety of the children, their intention.
But nobody complained about it when they built the school. Nobody complained about
Oh,
building
no,
the school.
no.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but the
Nobody
bottom line
complained.
is that when you have a developer comes and says they're gonna build a school, it was the responsibility of the school district, like they have done before, to do the proper planning. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they follow the code of building the school in the middle of every subdivision that is planned?
I mean, those are valid questions. I
Yeah.
guess we would turn
And
back.
that is the
time.
problem.
Well, we can't go back now.
No, we
to
can't.
say- that's what I'm saying. But now that we
We have to
have
look.
what we have, we do have to address the things that have happened now, because it obviously is giving a city a black eye. That's as clear as that can be.
City and the district. The school
Well, I'm not
district
sure
too.
the district has a fight in this. You know, I don't think they have control of that private road. They don't have control of the property.
Well, the
address.
problem lies is they
In
should have never
fact, they-
built a school on a private road, and they did. So that goes back to them. And at the same time is this, now, who does this district serve, and who does the city serve, and who does the county serve, and who does the federal government serve? It serves the people. It's we, the people, are the distinction that we need to have better government. We want good government.
I think in general,
in
you're right.
general, all government has to work hand in hand.
That's right.
And that we're not
right.
doing it.
That's right.
That's what it
That's
comes down
right. That's right. We're not doing it.
We're not doing
It didn't
it.
happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
That's
We,
what-
we
yeah.
had an opportunity to do it, and
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I can tell
It's
you
an
this
over
much.
there and over there.
Yeah.
Changing the subject. Changing the subject now.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
The county tax office.
Mhm.
I think Mrs. Barrera should have a hand in deciding where the next county tax unity should be. Other major cities have what is called a tax, the county, they have they pay a one-stop shop. You pay all your school district, you pay all your city taxes, all your county in one building. See, the city, the county should not be within downtown because you have traffic congestion. Let's put it somewhere centrally located where it serves the convenience of all the people. You know, where there's a bus route, where there's people that get there.
Again, a lot of things that we know about, or at least I know about, is through media, print
Yeah.
media, and newspaper. And I think Ms. Barrera came out on Facebook, social media, to
Yeah.
express
Yeah.
her concern why she hadn't been addressed.
Yeah.
And she kind of alluded to the fact that, other people fail. Well, that's not going to get cooperation from people who you accuse you're doing wrong. Because remember, we've talked about what it is, that transparency word that I don't like to use. We're talking about now dishonesty. Is it really dishonest to label and characterize somebody?
Right.
And I think you and I both agree we shouldn't go to that extent,
Yeah.
but we should just point out what the facts are. And so the thing that I saw her saying was that, hey, I'm not being asked. Do I believe she should have been asked? Yes, I think she should be an integral part of the decision where it should be placed, because she knows
Yeah.
that role of a collector, right?
You recall years ago, not to take anything away, but going to pay taxes, go and get your license plate. There was a line. It was here at the airport that they had it.
Yeah.
It was a line, and it was so disorganized. So when this lady came into office, everything was gone. And she did her good job. She's been to probably one of the best, or the best, lady that controlled it. So I thank the lady for what she has done, you know. Now, she's an integral part because her job is to collect money. And she does a good job. Her people are there. Now things have changed. Today, the other day, as a matter of fact, today I gotta go pay my taxes, property taxes. Yeah, you know, and the reason why that I walked in, I was shocked. I saw chairs lined up like if I was going to a meat market and numbered 568, and they were only in 500, so I had to wait there an hour or two to get served. Can you imagine going back to that, and then if you get in a certain time, you don't make it because the train's there. There's a problem there, and railroad has to, you know.
I think just the layout of that building where she's at doesn't create efficiency, because if I recall, there's immediately as you enter is the area for your vehicles,
Right.
Renewal, the license plates, things like that.
It's all congested.
Then the other part, I think it's got to do with some
Property
other
taxes.
property tax. Now, and then at the end of the corner is a property tax.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few different tellers, I guess, who are there. And when I've been there, yes, it's pretty smooth. I don't have to wait a long time, but it also depends what time I go. If I go close to noon, yes, I expect to wait.
I went there at 10 in the morning, and there was the line was
Okay,
still there.
so
now, before, no.
And then the time of the season, right?
Yeah.
The season when people are starting to go pay.
Yeah.
It's a season to go pay now. But the thing is that it is a little congestion, but it's no fault of her that it's congested. That's my point.
That's true.
That's not very narrow. She's being given an area
Small.
of the county that's outgrown.
She's
So
outgrown
the task to do is, what do we do from there? Just like all these other questions you and I've been talking about. What do we do from
See,
now on?
the county should look at one thing. Look at the Sheriff Department Administrative Office, the old HEB building. How much money has it cost us? And they still haven't.
The waste. It's a waste.
It's a waste. It's a waste of money. You know, leadership comes to having to do the right thing. The problem lies that the city of downtown has to have something to regenerate that. And to regenerate that, they got to go back to its history. Why? Make it a cultural center like San Antonio. Look what the San Antonio has. The Alamo. You know, people flock to it. Well, we have history here too. If they did that and tear down some of these buildings and make parking, because they don't have parking. And and we go right back to the old thing. Who do you blame there? The people that own the property don't want to invest. They're not even here. From what I understand, they're someplace in New York or whatever, but they don't want to invest. You have vacant buildings there that should have been demolished, you know, and they want to revamp money in there. The Plaza Theater, you know, the history of it. We used to go downtown because that was the history. $12 million and they're sitting someplace and they haven't done a damn thing about it.
Well, it seems to be like everybody that you talk to might have a different point of view of how to resolve this question of the congestion. Let's identify what the problem is, really. At the beginning of this, what is the problem? Is it the congestion? Is it the parking? You know, things like that.
Congestion and no parking, and really you're trying to
So
hold
why
on.
is the county commissioners court wanting to buy a building that perhaps is going to be suited for it? Why do they want to buy it out there?
That's crazy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You cannot identify what the problem is. If I say at home, you know what, we're using too much electricity at home, what's the problem? Well, Johnny over there or Janie over there is using too much power in their TVs. Oh, okay, well, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. It's not, you know, the electrical bill.
No.
It's like, hey, well, it's Memo. Memo, you know, he's over there in his computer all day long. He's sucking up all the electricity. Mm-hmm. So what is the problem? And I'm asking really, I'm not saying this redundantly. I'm saying, what is the problem, county? Why are you even looking at property? Have you identified the problem is? Oh, okay, well, yeah, we have a complaint from Ms. Barrera that she doesn't have room, or we have a complaint from a customer who doesn't have room, we have a complaint that there's no parking. Oh, okay, well, let's see how we can address it. If that is what they've done, Yes, I can see go look for something, but if they haven't even looked at what the problem is. I'm not saying they haven't, I'm just saying if they haven't, but so that's how I would,
Yeah.
as a manager, Memo, and you are a business owner,
Yeah.
I said, well, what is the problem?
Well, the solution is very easy, is that they need to identify, like you said, the problem, but the idea
Exactly.
is that space becomes an issue. They outgrown it, and they should be separate from all the activities, because that building addresses the court system, it's the jail across from it, and so you have a lot of activity there that doesn't go well if you're gonna go pay your taxes. Why do you wanna go there? Because the upstairs floor's parking is for the courts. So you're limited in parking.
Well,
That's why.
I have a solution.
Yeah.
I have a solution.
Online.
You heard? The fact is that yes, you should look for satellite offices. Why is it that the majority of tax revenue comes for the school board, for example, for the school district at United? The majority comes from 78045. You and I both live in 78045. But we have to traverse to Saunders to go pay, right? And that's 78045.
No.
You don't live in that zip code. So the school district would be better off setting a satellite over here, closer to your location, to mine.
Make it convenient, yeah.
Well, I'd be more happy to go there instead of going to, and now, I've never had a doubt or a problem. They do very good work, very efficient work. That's why I say I trust the employees. The employees do what they're told to do. And so I'll go pay my taxes there on Saunders. Well, transfer that same equation to the county and what they have to pay taxes. You're going downtown where the elderly need that place, because if they do need to bus transportation, commercial bus transportation, yes, I can see them going downtown to make payments there. So keep that office, but make it better accessible to you and me, to even the south, have two satellite offices, one in the south, one in the north, just because I think it would be better. It doesn't have to take a great deal of investment to turn a vacant building, perhaps that they can find, equipment, and I think Ms. Barrera would be okay with that.
With a drive-through.
Well, the fact is that they're gonna get paid and they're not gonna be fighting with the customers or the payers. Okay, let's cut this out. There's been a good one. Maybe we'll continue talking, man.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. You all have a good day.
But it was a pretty good one. Yeah, talk to you.
Hold on.